Welcome back, everyone. Today I bring you round 6 of Lesser Chess Open, and this was actually a very important round for me because my opponent, Fernando Ribeiro, a FIDE master from Portugal, is actually the best player in my district. So I'm from Viseu district in Portugal, and yeah, he's just the best player in the district. And also, I feel like he's the only master in the district, as far as I know. You can correct me if I'm wrong, but I haven't heard or seen any other master from the district of Viseu in Portugal. So yeah, yeah. Hopefully one day I'll catch up to him, and I'll be the future best player in my district. But yeah, still have a lot to work on. But let's see how the game went. So I had the white pieces, and I opened with e4. My opponent went d5. I went takes, queen takes, knight c3, and queen d6. So I did some preparation for this match. I was happy when I saw this on the board that he played a lot of times in the past and in recent tournaments. I went d4, knight f6, knight f3, a6 here by my opponent, and here g3. Going for this setup makes a lot of sense. The queen on d6 will be vulnerable to bishop f4, and also putting the bishop on this diagonal can also be very good. My opponent goes b5, bishop g2, bishop b7, and I go castles. And yeah, I think my preparation was finished by now. I didn't have anything else prepared. My opponent also went e6, and okay, we have a game where I am a little bit more developed, but there's still a lot to work on. Here I play bishop f4, just attacking the queen. The queen falls back to d8, and here I didn't really know how to continue exactly. So when you don't really know what to do or you don't see anything concrete, just develop pieces normally. Rook e1 here. My opponent also just develops normally. Bishop e7. I go queen e2, castles, and rook a d1. And this is like super normal so far. I think it's a pretty equal position. My opponent finds the best move, which kind of surprised me that it's the best move, but the move is bishop b4. And yeah, during the game I thought this was a bad move by my opponent, just because this knight is still in its home square, is developing the bishop again, which was already on e7. So like I was like, why didn't he just play bishop b4 immediately? Why he went to e7 and then to b4? And you know, I made a very immature decision here by playing a3, which, the engine says a3 is fine, but from a practical standpoint and from a human standpoint, I feel like a3 is a big mistake. Here, you know, I just thought, okay, he's just wasting a lot of time moving the same piece twice. I don't really care. I'm just gonna try to, force him to move the bishop again, which doesn't make any sense at all. Here I should have just played bishop d2. And the point is that, okay, now I don't get doubled pawns. If my opponent takes on c3, I just take it, and it's fine. And also, if my opponent plays knight d5, which I think it was what I was worried about in the game, I feel like even just taking on d5 would probably be fine. My opponent needs to capture the bishop here, intermediate move. And yeah, I can either take on d2 here with the rook or give this check. Either way, the position kind of ends up being something like this, which is very balanced, and it's fine. Like, still a lot to play for, and maybe in the future my rooks will be really well placed on the d file or on the e file. But yeah, this would just be simple and pretty straightforward. But I decided to play a3, and the problem with a3 is that this is literally what my opponent wants. He wants to take on c3, so I don't even know why I played a3. Like, it's just a, I feel like it's just a bad move, because now he takes on c3, I take with the b pawn, I have double pawns, he gets knight d5, excellent outpost for the knight here. I no longer have a knight to take on d5, and I end up having to go back to d2 with my bishop. So I could have just gone there in the first place and it would have been fine. Okay, the computer still says it's fine, but it's just, practically speaking, the other position was way easier to play. And you know, here, okay, I have the bishop pair, but the position is super closed, and I don't know how I will actually deal with these weaknesses, both on a3 and on uh, on c3 and c2. So yeah, I think this is just practically just a bad decision by me. But yeah, I still make a lot of immature decisions, and I'm trying to work on them and try to make just these small adjustments to my chess decisions and just to my chess moves. So okay, my opponent goes knight b6 here. I go knight e5. Bad decision. The computer doesn't want me to trade bishops, but you know, I felt like I had to do something. Here, my opponent takes on g2. I take with the king. He gives a check, and here I block with the queen. You know, hoping for, you know, having chances in this endgame. And yeah, this endgame is slightly better for black, of course, because of my weaknesses, but there's still chances to, you know, to fight here for sure. Okay, my opponent goes rook d8. I go knight d3. My opponent goes knight d7. And here I go knight b4. And yeah, I'm making like a little threat of going knight c6. And I don't know if my opponent is ready to play c5 just yet. Probably in the game, I might have calculated something like c5, and after takes, maybe I calculated something here, although I'm not sure. I don't remember. The game has been played um in a long while. But yeah, bishop b3 comes to mind immediately. But okay, this didn't really happen in the game. My opponent went back to b8 with a knight, which is not a good move. But yeah, it's hard to punish, you know, because at the end of the day, the black's position is very solid here. Okay, I find this nice move, bishop f4, um, attacking c7. My opponent defends with rook c8, and okay, I'm starting to get some confidence because my opponent is making some retreating moves and he's still a little bit stuck on the queen side. These pieces are not looking the best, you know. And okay, my rooks are well placed in these files. My bishop looks good, and my knight is also not bad on b4. So I was actually feeling more confident here because I felt like I was making progress, and I sure was. So okay, I go back to d3, which is not a good move. Yeah. Also, the computer moves are just weird. H4, which doesn't look like it does much. H3, rook b1. Yeah, it's a very sad chess position, honestly. Um, yeah, because there's not much action. I'm just sitting here with these static weaknesses, which, as I said earlier on, it was really easy to avoid this in the first place. But I learned the lesson for sure. Okay, knight d3, knight a4, attacking c3, bishop d2, defending, knight d7, and here I go knight e5. Yeah, I felt like in the game, knight e5 was trying to, you know, to simplify things. But I think I miscalculated because my idea was with knight e5 that my opponent would take, and here I wanted to take with the pawn. But I think I missed uh, details in calculation because okay, after he took on e5 here with the knight, I paused because I started like seeing some things that I didn't see before making the knight e5 move. The thing is that after pawn takes, which was my initial decision, rook d8, um, things get very awkward real quick because I mean, if I move my bishop, um, it takes on c3, you know. So Yeah, things are not looking good here. I think I calculated something like rook e3 here, defending c3, preparing rook d3. But I don't know. I think knight b2 here is a very strong move, and yeah, after, for example, rook b1 attacking the knight, knight c4 here, yeah, is this like I'm losing material here for sure. Like, for example, here both my rook and the bishop are attacked, and the engine gives bishop c1 as the best move. Just giving up the exchange like this, and I mean, this has to be losing for white. There's no way. But okay, thankfully, right before capturing the knight, I noticed this, and I had to take with the rook, which is kind of sad. Um, but okay, I am still in the game for sure. My opponent goes c5, and here I take. Um, it does this nice intermezzo move. It doesn't take immediately on c5. It goes knight b2, attacking the rook on d1. I go to a1, and yeah, now my opponent gets knight c4 in with a very nice outpost on c4. And yeah, I end up again in a position where I have like a bad minor piece against a good minor piece, and yeah, this has kind of been a recurring theme in my games. I'm really not making the best decisions in the middle game, that's for sure. Okay, after knight c4, I defended the bishop with rook e2. It took the pawn finally on c5. Very well played by my opponent. And here I played bishop e3. And my opponent actually just took on e3 after not so much time thinking. And I was very happy with this because, as I said, I feel like here a better move would probably be to maybe move the rook, in my opinion, because in general, I feel like this knight is way stronger than this bishop, so trading off those pieces actually helps me, and I think the computer agrees with me uh, on that point for sure. So yeah, knight takes c3, rook takes c3, and my opponent plays rook c4 here. So yeah, I mean, yeah, I will have to hold this. The material is equal, of course, is better because I have static weaknesses and it doesn't really have weaknesses. But at least my king is active here, and his king is still on g8. So yeah, I have my chances to hold here and to create something. Okay, I bring my king closer to the pawns. King e2, rook c8, uh, king d2 here. And my opponent just throws in g5, starting to expand his majority on the king side. I go rook b1, trying to activate my rook. He goes rook a4, which makes sense, attacking a3 pawn. And here I go to b3, which, okay, defends the pawn on a3, defends the pawn on c3. And okay, I mean, I'm surviving. I'm surviving so far, although my rooks are very, very passive. Okay, still a game. King g7, uh, rook d3, e5, and here I play rook d6, which is the best move. And okay, this endgame comes down to trying to create counterplay, because I'm gonna lose material if I don't do anything. And yeah, this is just it's a tough endgame. It's a tough rook endgame to play. I feel like for white, and even for black, I don't feel like it's that simple. Um, there's no clear path to victory, and the computer, after thinking for a while, thinks that this is like equal, slightly better for black, but nothing, no winning advantage for sure. Okay, after rook d6, my opponent throws the pawn to h5 here, and I feel like this is the critical moment of the game here. I had a big think here because I have a lot of options and some of them are better than others. And yeah, so we were starting to get low on the clock, like something like 20 minutes for each, I think. And here I thought a long time about throwing in h4, which the computer doesn't like. But it is a move that creates counterplay for me and creates chances. And the idea here is to, after my opponent takes, I take here, and here my opponent can take this pawn, for example, on h4, but now I take on a6, and okay, I mean, material is equal. Let's say my opponent goes back to c4 here, putting pressure on this pawn, making path for uh, the h pawn to roll down the board. Here I even have rook takes b5, which is kind of crazy, because after rook takes on c3, it just looks like I'm absolutely getting destroyed. Here I actually can just take this pawn, and this is a big mess on the board. Like, yeah, but all of a sudden, like, the position is way simplified. I just got he captured my pawns that were weak, but there's chances for both sides, and yeah, this is just equal. But yeah, it. My opponent would probably not play exactly like this. There's better ways for black to play. For example, not taking the pawn, but playing f6 here, because this pawn is not going anywhere, and now I don't have any sort of capture here, but I can play rook b4 maybe. This involves sacrificing this pawn, and yeah, I mean, probably there's nothing for white, but I should have tried something like this that made my opponent have to take some decisions. I ended up playing a very passive h3, which is actually one of the top engine moves, but yeah, this is just sad. Like, I not threatening anything, I'm not, improving my position, and I'm not creating counterplay. It's yeah, it's just very passive way to play. Okay, my opponent goes h4 here. I play g4, which is a mistake. I should have taken on h4 horribly. Fast forward, my opponent just slowly squeezes me, and I try my best to hold, but there's not much hope. Material still equal, but I'm just stuck defending these weaknesses that I created a long time ago when my opponent just played the simple bishop before, and I fell right into his idea. It was very immature by me, but okay, we learned the lesson. Well, at least I hope so. King h2 here, and yeah, I mean, this part of the game is just very straightforward. There's not much to say here. After king b1 by my opponent here, okay, I just resigned, and yeah, it was a very nice game. Unfortunately, small details like the one uh, after bishop e4 can make a lot of difference, but what is important is to learn with our mistakes and keep moving forward and try our best next time. So, okay, I was definitely, um, happy that I got the chance to play against him, and hopefully in the future I'll get a rematch when I am stronger. So, yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys for round 7. Take care. Bye bye.